everybody, happy Tuesday. Welcome to Daily Distinction. Really glad that you are here today. Hope everything is going great for you. We got a great topic today in terms of story, and I'm really glad that you are here. Inside today. It's a beautiful day, but I'm working inside, and we all know how that goes. I hope your day is going great for you wherever you are. Thank you for taking time to be here, whether you're watching on replay or whether you are live with us today, and there are your comments in there. Don't forget, sharing is caring. Love it when you share. That helps build our audience and grow our audience, and thank you very much for that. So how's everybody doing? Sorry I wasn't here yesterday. Had a conflict, so just wanted to check in today and see how everybody's doing. And like I said, a story is incredibly important, and that is what we're going to be talking about today, the importance of story. Hey, don't forget that anytime that you want to hear a little bit about distinction or what you can do to be more effective at selling and all that, all you got to do is go to your Amazon device and say, Alexa, play Distinction Radio, and it'll pop up. We had several hundred listeners to Distinction Radio last week, so love that. Thank you for checking that out. Hey, Brian, haven't seen you for a while. The brisk Minneapolis suburbs. I bet it is brisk there today. My sister was telling me it is going to be cool in the Midwest. They're going to get some snow tomorrow. We do not have any new information. I have the copies here. These are the test run copies, but still working with the publisher to try to figure out when that's coming out. But we do have something that is coming up that we're going to be mentioning. We're just, it's part of the problem, Brian, is that obviously with the pandemic, book sales at bookstores and the like are down, and budgets are changing with companies. And so we're trying to play it by ear to get the best possible release date that we can. That's part of the commitment we have with the publisher. So we're working to make that happen. So I'll keep you posted. Scott, happy Tuesday to you. So glad that you were here. Thanks for taking time. So the last time that we were together over the weekend, part of what we were talking about is about sequels. If you remember, I said one of the most profitable aspects of anything in entertainment is the sequel. Boy, when you can make a movie and there's a built-in audience, right? I mean, if they made Forrest Gump 2, right? There's a lot of us that want to see what happened to old Forrest. Right? There are a lot of us that would want to know what happened next. It has a built-in audience. When they came out with The Mandalorian, they knew there was a built-in audience for something that would extend the Star Wars franchise. So that's why one of the most profitable things in any entertainment endeavor is the sequel, where you have a success and you have a built-in audience. It's kind of interesting that many, many years ago, Lethal Weapon, the original one, did okay at the box office, but it wasn't like this huge box office smash. But everybody rented it on VHS. Boy, that goes back a lot of years, doesn't it? But the sequel came about because the built-in audience didn't even happen the first time at the box office. It happened through video rentals, and it created this desire that people wanted to know what happened next. And there were many sequels after that, even a spin-off television show. So sequels happen because you build in this audience. So the question I was asking you over the weekend is, what are you doing to get your customers interested in your sequel? Well, the way that we do that, we didn't talk about this yet, but the way that we do that is the first step is to have a great story. Lisa, you're exactly right. Look how many times Mission Impossible, not only from the television show to the movie series with Tom Hanks, on and on and on. So really, really important. Hey, Weldon, thank you for sharing, and I hope that you're doing all right. I've heard some good news about you, and I want to stay in touch with what's going on there. Susan, how are you? So good to see you. Talked about me in a really big interview today. I'd love to know more about that. Drop me a note. That's very cool. So, so what are you doing? Thanks, Lisa. So it begins with a great story. It begins with a great story. As I mentioned here before, one of the things in my past that I really, really enjoyed doing is for over a decade, I was a globally syndicated movie reviewer. It was the greatest side gig in the world, right? I would go see a movie and then do a review of it that was syndicated to about 100 television stations, mostly in the United States, some in Canada, some in Australia. And then because of that, I got to interview. They called them the junket. And what would happen is they would bring in the leading critics a couple of weeks before the movie premiered. So we would fly to New York or Los Angeles on a Friday. And on Friday night, we'd go see the movie, which wasn't out for a couple of weeks. I'd have a private screening. And then on Saturday, you'd interview the stars of that movie. So, for example, I flew to Los Angeles and saw Forrest Gump. And then the next day, interviewed Tom Hanks and Gary Sinise and all the folks from Forrest Gump, Michael T. Williamson. I mean, all the folks that were the leading characters of Forrest Gump. And then you would take that video of recordings of the stars and Robert Zemeckis, the director, and you would take it and then I would edit that, so that would be an additional thing. So I would do a review, and then I'd also do an additional piece of, here I am talking to the people of Forrest Gump. Well, the reason they did it a couple weeks, obviously, before the movie came out was they were hoping for good reviews and the interviews, and then that would make the audience want to go see the movie, right? Makes sense. But along the way, what it meant is I had the chance to talk with folks like Robert Zemeckis, that directed Forrest Gump and Back to the Future, and James Cameron, that did Titanic and Avatar and Terminator, and even people like Wes Craven, that did Friday the 13th and all the Freddy Krueger movies and all that. I had a chance to talk to them about what makes a story compelling to an audience. I talked with the best directors. I talked with the leading screenwriters. And so my experience was not just writing stories for my speeches or stories, for my books, the ones that are out and the ones that are coming. My experience came with talking to people who were making movies that were seen by millions and millions of people and making millions and millions of dollars on the power of their story. So one of the things that certainly came through to me about that is that there's an approach. I don't want to call it a formula, because that's one of the criticisms sometimes people have of movies, that they're too formulaic, they're too formula. You can see what's coming. You never doubted what was going to happen. So I don't want to say there's a formula to it, because you can use this structure and still find surprises that interest and engage and compel people about stories. But there's an approach to it that if we learn how to do that, it will make your ability to tell stories about your business or about your career or as you communicate, that will make it much more compelling. So here's a point that's really, really critical. Great stories are always about people. They're not about products or services. So if you want to create a story about your business, it's got to be about the people in the business or the customers of the business. Let me repeat that. For you to have a successful story about your business, it cannot be about your business. It has to be about the people who work for your business or in your business, or perhaps even better, the customers of your business. Now somebody says, well, wait a minute. What about a movie like Cars from Pixar, or, what was that one? WALL-E, or others, and R2D2 is not is not a person. Well, they give them human characteristics, right? The movie Cars isn't about the car. It's about the human characteristics that car has. Mickey Mouse isn't a mouse. It's a character drawn like a mouse that has human characteristics. So even when it isn't technically about a person, it's about an object that has the characteristics of a person. So great stories are always about people. Yet I see so many organizations of all sizes, everything from a mom and pop auto repair store to a corporate behemoth, conglomerate that's trying to make their story about their product. See, right now, if I was one of the companies that have been approved for the vaccine, I would be out there in the marketplace immediately talking about the people that brought the vaccine to the public in this unbelievably record time. I wouldn't be saying, and I'm just picking one as an example, I wouldn't be saying, isn't Pfizer great? Look what Pfizer did. The vaccine is here. I would be saying, meet Jane. Here's Jane that came from this household, and she's the first of her family to graduate from college. But not only did she do that, she got a PhD, and Jane worked 20 hours a day for so long, and she worked in these conditions, and And that's what led to the fastest discovery time for, and these are the people of Pfizer that are bringing a vaccine to you. And you kind of go, wow, right? Because now all of a sudden it's people who we identify with, right? I mean, it's hard for me to identify with a pharmaceutical company. You need to show me the person that came from a interesting background, that worked their way through school, that learned this, and or maybe a mother died of a virus, and and we would find that much more compelling than a company that does this. And man, I'd be jumping over that before the competing vaccine companies did, because whoever tells the story first and best is going to win, right? People would be asking for your vaccine instead of the others if available when it gets out. So again, it's about the stories. Yeah, well, and Scott, that's an important point as well. It's not a company that did this. It is people who work for that company that did it, and it gives them the credit where the credit is due. That's exactly right. So make the stories about people. And the other reason this is important is because people make decisions emotionally, not logically. Look, I'm not saying this to be political on one side or the other. I think it works on both sides. Whatever your feeling is about an issue, when most of us now are Googling, we are looking for stories that support what we already believe. It's just the way it is. It's the echo chamber. It is the self-fulfilling prophecy. Why? Because we're looking emotionally, not logically. We're not looking to find 4 articles that disagree with our current position so that we might think that we're wrong, because we've got too much wrapped up emotionally in being right that we don't want to be logical. Even people that approach a situation logically often, have you noticed how much joy they get out of telling you how logically they've approached this? Because they get emotional satisfaction of being the most logical person in the room, right? So even those who claim it's about logic get emotion involved. Susan, great stories are about people. Yeah. Well, it's an important thing to point out, Susan. You're right. You're exactly right. This is why the self-made man or woman. Yeah, exactly, Brian. I don't know who originated the line, but I've heard it said the self-made man realizes he should have subcontracted out the job. Right? I mean, most self-made people need subcontractors, and that's because we can't do it alone. It's about the people that do it. So if we understand that people make decisions emotionally, not logically. Right. I've had people at programs say, I always buy the least expensive option. So I said, great. I want to see your car. I mean, you got cruise control. You don't have to have that in every car. Automatic transmission, power windows. Huh. Now, some of that, you can't even get a car without it anymore. But you know what I'm saying is that in everybody's car, I can find an option that they didn't have to buy. So you didn't exactly buy the cheapest, lowest. You buy it about what, but you justify it emotionally. So if we understand that people make their decisions emotionally, right? Then what we need to understand is that stories grab us emotionally. That's part of why stories are so compelling and why they're so important. And have you ever teared up at the end of a movie about fictional characters that didn't even exist? And please don't think that is gearing that just towards women, because I just drew a blank on it. Kevin Costner, the movie about baseball, Field of Dreams. I was on a plane one time and they were showing Field of Dreams, and it was so funny because I got up to go to the bathroom, and the lights came on after the end of the movie, and you saw all these men, sitting here like this, covering their eyes because they didn't want the rest of the entire plane to see that they had tears in their eyes about the end of Field of Dreams. It's a tearjerker for men. So stories grab us emotionally. Stories grab us emotionally. So remember, people make decisions emotionally and not logically. Stories grab us emotionally. Therefore, it's part of why it's so important that you have a story or a repertoire of stories, plural. So remember that. Stories grab us emotionally and people make decisions emotionally. Here's the second reason that you need a story. It's that people remember images more than they remember words and numbers. In your entire life, you will never walk up to somebody and say, you know, I remember your name, but your face escapes me. Right? We'll remember the picture. We'll remember the face. We won't remember the words that go with it. We remember images. It's reflected in our language. When you understand something, what do you tend to say? Oh, I get the picture. I see. In other words, visualization implies comprehension. When we are able to see something, visualize something, then it suggests that we're able to understand it as well. So we remember images more than word and pictures, and what stories really are word pictures that people remember. A well-told, well-constructed story is something that people remember. You know, it's the old Maya Angelou quote that we hear so much. They won't remember what you said or what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And when stories create those mental images, and those mental images create emotion, then the story is what we remember. I may not remember your story about, you know, how many horsepower the car has, but if you tell me this vivid story about somebody driving down the road and they punch it and, you know, and how it made them feel and their hair blowing in the breeze, and you build it, well then, or maybe, you know, somebody pulled out in front of them and they were able to handle this incredible car in a way that avoided a collision, and talk about, you know, strapping the baby in the seat in the back and build all that up. I mean, there's ways to create these stories that give us these images that connect with us emotionally that mean so very much. So if you want to get your customers interested in your sequel and what happens next, it begins with first having a great story. Having a great story. Oh, hi, Charlie, good to see you. Oh, you are so kind to say that. Oh, man, I really appreciate that. Thank you. That is so nice. They meant the least expensive one they liked. Yeah, Donovan, exactly. When they say I bought the least expensive car, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. It's the least expensive one that you liked. It's the least expensive one that you wanted to drive. Yeah. Hey, Jerry, great to see you. As always, a selection of stories depend upon the circumstances you're facing. Yeah, exactly. But Jerry, all I'm saying is it begins with one, right? I mean, if we learn the structure, then we are better able to build more compelling stories as we add to our repertoire. Yeah, I kind of look at it like a golf swing, right? If you get the basics of the mechanics down and you understand that, then those mechanics are going to work whether you've got a driver or an 8-iron. The shot is not exactly the same, but the basic mechanics are going to be the same, and therefore we're better able, once we get those basic mechanics down. It's a whole lot better to do that than to try to learn how to use a driver and how to use an 8-iron and not find the basic structure that makes it work. But you're exactly right. We've got to have a repertoire of stories. But I think part of where people mess up is they think, well, there's a good one. I'll keep telling that. That one didn't work. So, without learning the structure. So we want to talk about the structure. Right, I appreciate that. Thank you. It's funny that you mentioned that because I'm going to give you a save the date. Wednesday, December 30th, I'm going to do a virtual workshop on distinctive stories. It's a short course on how to craft and create stories that sell. We're just going to do about a 4-hour program on Wednesday, December 30th. And I'll have all the info for you tomorrow on how and when to sign up. But I just wanted to make sure that you penciled in the date. You think, why are you doing that? Well, you know, for a lot of us, that week between Christmas and New Year is kind of a downtime. And I just thought, boy, if we do this right before the end of the year, and you can work on your stories over the New Year holiday, and you can work on them as hopefully as our life gets back to, I don't want to say normal, because I think there's a lot of things it's going to be changed. But as we get to the future, whatever that future might bring, that this will be a good chance just to start working, so we get that foundation poured, and then you can work on your stories as we go forward from there. So it's kind of, I'm going to give you all the details about signing up and everything tomorrow, but it's a save the date for Wednesday, December 30th for Distinctive Story. And also part of oh, you're the best, man. I appreciate it. Part of what we're going to do is talk about the structure and how that works, and we're going to work you through everything it takes to create and then tell a great story. And the other interesting part of this structure is, even if you don't think that you're a good storyteller on your own, if the story is structured properly, it's still of great interest, and it's still something that's captivating. So save the date on that. I'll have more information for you on that coming up tomorrow. But Distinctive Story is happening 2 weeks from tomorrow. All right. So it's important that you have a story, and I'd love to have you be a part of that workshop. But even if you can't, get to work on your story, make it compelling, draw word pictures, make it work out great. Well, and I only sell above average condition trucks and FT with as many options as possible. There you go. Gotta love it. No problem selling them. And Weldon, people have no problem buying them too, I'm sure, from you. So that's, yeah, and there you go. I mean, why do we want the options? We want them for convenience. We want them for safety. We want them because we just want them. I always think it's funny that, like a great sound system in a car. Man, I love a car with a great sound system. Is it something I have to have? No, it's something I want to have. But sometimes we jump through these mental hoops like, well, I drive a lot. I spend a lot of time in my car, and I'm sure the good sound system will keep me more awake and keep me, we jump through all these hoops. Man, I love the way that thing sounds. Right? So we make these emotional decisions. And again, that's why story is so important, because it connects and moves us emotionally. So more on that workshop coming for you tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more about story tomorrow. Thank you for taking time to be with me today for Daily Distinction. I look forward to catching up with you tomorrow, and make sure you're out there telling your story. See you tomorrow.